Here's another key time management essential. Don't mistake movement for achievement. It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Guy comes home at night all exhausted, falls in the chair and says, oh, I've been going. Here's the big question. Doing what? It's not the going. Some people are going, and they're doing figure eights. Their progress is small. So don't mistake movement for achievement. Here's another one in sales we learned. Don't mistake courtesy for consent. If somebody's pleasant and they nod, you say, oh, they're going to buy. No, they're courteous. You can't mistake courtesy for consent. Now here's a big one, concentration. I had to learn this. All those years ago, I'm in the shower trying to compose a letter. Found it turns out to be a strange letter. So here's what I learned to do. Save the work till you get to the office. Save the work till you get to the work. Don't try to get to the office on the way to work. On the way to work, enjoy the way. In the shower, enjoy the shower. Then go to work when you get to work. I found this to be helpful. Concentration. Here's another big one. Learn to say no. I'm telling you, in such a social society we have now, it's so easy to try to be a nice person saying yes to everything. Find yourself overloaded. Now you got to call and make the, well, gosh, all the time it takes to back out of something that you said yes to too quickly. Here's what might be better. I don't think so, but if that changes, I'll call you. Little things you can use not to overcommit yourself. My friend Ron Reynolds says, don't let your mouth overload your back. It's a good one. Now here's a big one on time management. When you work. When you play. Don't mix the two. Don't work at play. Now here's one of the most important ones. Don't play at work. Work is too serious. You don't want the reputation of being the office joker. It's not a good one. Yes, there's time for some pleasant stories. Yes, there's time for a little humor. Yes, best if it's a happy office, of course. But I'm telling you got to be serious about work, because you're parting with a piece of your life for the work you do. Your work costs you a piece of your life. Here's what it's called. Serious business. Not grim, not unhappy, but serious. Don't play at work. The old expression, I don't think we use it anymore, horse around at the office. Play around, play jokes, play tricks. No place, not at the workplace. At the beach, yes. At the bar, yes. Somewhere else, not work. You got to treat work with all due conservative passion, because it's leading you to your future. Next, analyze how you are. And if you have some weaknesses, if it doesn't seem like you can change, here's the key. Get it covered. I used to keep promising myself I'd keep the books. Finally, I gave that up. And back then, it only took me an extra $50-$60 a month for some accountant to keep the books. I said, no, I'm going to save the $50. You can't believe what I started losing in productivity because I tried to save the $50. So the key is, a lot of the time you can stay like you are, but just make sure you get it covered. Okay. Next, beware of the telephone and all other systems of communication, especially the telephone at home and systems of communication at home. Let all communication systems serve you, but don't let them intrude. When it comes time to have dinner with your family, you shut off all systems, unless the ones that can take messages silently. Don't let the phone ring. Don't let anybody intrude, come through the front door nor the back door, nor through the telephone or any other device. So you can't reach John and his family when he's having dinner. The President of the United States couldn't get through. If you develop that kind of a reputation, father, mother, when we have dinner, when we're visiting and have this time with our family, nothing intrudes. So don't let these clever little devices keep intruding. You've got to have a place that's sacrosanct. It's valuable. You don't let anything in for that period of time. I asked a guy one time, it's been many years ago, I said, what did your television cost? I knew he was a great television watcher. He said $400. I said, that's not true. He said, no, I paid $400 for this television set. I said, well, let me tell you what I think it's costing you, because I know what kind of talent and skills you've got. I think it's costing you about $40,000 a year, not to own it, but to watch it. It's not owning a television set that's expensive. It's watching it that's expensive. What else could you do at that time? One, if you've got plenty of money in terms of lifestyle. But if you haven't got plenty of money, what if you took the television time and properly employed it by learning a couple of extra skills? No telling what would happen to your income. I mentioned this to this guy. He got so inspired and convicted with my little talk there that he had his brother-in-law bring over his pickup and haul away his television set. He said, well, you could just take it away yourself. I said, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do it right now. Come and get this thing and take it away. He said, I've got a new philosophy. I'm going to take my TV time and turn it into fortune. See, all it takes is an idea, and it doesn't have to be that radical. but he wanted it to make a statement. Let's get this thing out of here. And later, he had another television, but now he learned to shut it off and use time wisely. But at the moment, he wanted to prove to himself that he was ready to do something radical. He said, Jim Rohn is right. This television is costing me a fortune. Not to own it. Owning is cheap. Watching it's what's expensive. So you just have to learn to ration the time. Television is useful, but you got to wisely use it. Just like food, you must wisely use food. In leadership, we teach enough food to be healthy and gather strength, and no more. You just have to learn the no more. Make that your philosophy. How much rest? Enough to be healthy and gather strength, and no more. Why would you spend any more than just enough to gather strength and be healthy on both food and rest? But if you overindulge in food and rest, they become a detriment now, not a support. So I think if you look at things that way, let them serve but not intrude. It's like a television set. If you let it serve, fine, but if you let it intrude on everybody's time. The average family watches television, 7 hours a day? See, that's probably too much. It's not that the television isn't good. It is good. But it's too much time devoted to one fairly intrusive instrument in your house. So let it serve, not intrude. That's a good philosophy. I find if you come up with a philosophy and an attitude, it helps to set the tone of things you do, don't do, correct, rearrange, turn upside down, try it another way until something works better for you. I think that's good advice. How many stories do we hear now of some people that are addicted to the computer? The wife says, honey, let's go. He can't let go. He can't shut it off. Then you've got a problem, right? So I think everything, doesn't matter whether it's alcohol or drugs or a computer or being online. I found out, not from my own experience, but from others I know, it's possible to be online and off track. So you got to make sure when you're online that you're not off track. But it's not difficult to be online and off track in terms of time allotment, what absorbs your attention. If all of your thoughtful time is used for busy time rather than creative time, then the encroachment on your creative time is just probably too heavy. We need time to think. Sometimes you talk to somebody for an hour, and then you ask questions and find out if you would have asked those questions up front, you could have saved yourself an hour. Asking questions up front helps you to get to the problem now. But if you just launch into some discourse, you might waste 30 minutes, waste an hour, when here's what you should have been talking about. After you finished an hour, you say, John, what's really the problem? He said, well, it's something personal. See, that's what you should have been talking about this whole hour. Next, learn to think on paper. Some ways to think on paper. One, solving problems. Take it out of your head and put it on paper. Another one is setting goals. Here's another good way to think on paper. It's a projects book. Each person you're working with and each project you're working on, get a loose leaf binder and a tab and some pieces of paper behind the tab and do a little continual summary of how it's going between you and that person and between you and that project. I call it a projects book. It is so useful to me. What's going on between you and this person? When you last got together, what did you talk about? And you got a few notes there. Here's what we talked about the last time we got together. Now when you get together again, you can review that so you'll know better what to talk about. When the president gets ready to travel and he's going to meet some important people, guess what they bring him? All these briefing books. Right? The last time you were with Khrushchev, Kennedy is informed. Here's what he said and here's what you said. Kennedy said, oh, that's valuable. I need to remember that. If a person is important, it's worth a little running account. You might even have a projects book for your children. Here's what's happening between me and my child. We've talked about this and we've talked about this and we've talked about this. Next, a day timer. Keeping track of all of your appointments. Mine is all filled with, when to catch an airplane and when to do a seminar and when to sit down and have a conference, all the rest. Next is a game plan. If you've got a house and the, insurance is going to come due and some other things are going to come due, you just put it on a spreadsheet and make sure it's taken care of. Key phrase, take things out of your head and put them on paper. And the key is to just experiment with different ways that helps you to do that. Now here's the last one, thinking on paper, and that's to keep a journal. One of the things I'm known for around the world, have been now for 39, 40 years, is keeping a journal. Now my journal is not necessarily a diary. It might be part diary. I'm flying over Ireland and I write down a few little things that impress me. Today I met this person. Wow, what an extraordinary event. Today I conducted this seminar in Rome. 1,000 people stood up and sang for me. I've got a little bit of a diary in there. But here's what primarily your journal is for. Collecting good ideas. A journal is to collect good ideas on your health, good ideas for your business, good ideas for your future, good ideas for time management. Because I used to take notes on pieces of paper and torn off corners and backs of old envelopes and restaurant placemats. And I threw all this stuff in a drawer. It did not serve me well. I finally learned to get a bound copy, right?
you.